You've heard of it, right? The theory of everything? For decades, physicists have been on this holy grail quest to unite the giant world of stars and galaxies with the super weird tiny world of quantum particles. Well, today we're diving into a radical framework from an author named MGM, who suggests the answer isn't hidden in some complex formula. It's a lot closer to home. And it all kicks off with one big question.
What if the entire reason we can't solve the universe is because we keep leaving the most important piece out of the puzzle? You. I mean, Science 101 teaches us to be objective, right? To remove ourselves from the experiment to get to the truth. But this model, this flips that completely on its head. It says that consciousness, your consciousness, isn't a bystander. It's the main event.
All right, so here's our game plan for unpacking this. First, we'll touch on why science usually shoves the observer to the side. Then we'll map out what this model calls the two extremes of existence, the body and the spirit. After that, we'll see how the mind acts as a kind of liquid bridge between them, how that creates a pump for reality, and finally, what this all means when we zoom out to the entire planet.
Think about it. Traditional physics is looking for the clockwork of the universe, the cold, hard math that just runs in the background whether we're here to see it or not. But this framework suggests something totally different. It says the theory of everything isn't some static equation you can write on a blackboard. It's a living, breathing, dynamic cycle of energy, a cycle that is powered by consciousness itself.
And this, right here, is a total game changer. It's saying you're not just some random biological machine that popped up in a universe that was already finished. No way! The big idea here is that your inner world, what you think, what you feel, your unique experience, that's the actual engine that's creating the world out there.
So to really get our heads around this, MGM gives us a brilliant map. And it's based on something we all learned back in science class, the states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. These are used as powerful analogies for our own experience. We're going to start at the two polar opposites, the solid body and the gaseous spirit.
First up, the body. This is our solid state. And it makes perfect sense, right? Your body follows the old school rules of classical physics. It's predictable, you trip, you fall, gravity always wins. It's localized. You're here, in this one spot. You can't be in two places at once. And you're stuck on that conveyor belt of time, always moving from the past into the future. It's rigid, it's predictable, it's solid.
Now, let's swing to the complete other end of the spectrum, the spirit. This is our gas, and it behaves like the weird, spooky world of quantum mechanics. A gas doesn't just stay in one spot, right? It spreads out, it fills the whole room. In the same way, the spirit is pure potential. It's everywhere and nowhere all at once. It's a field of infinite possibilities existing in what the model calls an eternal now, totally outside our normal flow of time.
Okay, let's just pause for a second, because I know what you might be thinking. Is he saying my soul is literally made of some kind of quantum gas? No. And that's a super important point. These are structural analogies. Think of it like this. Scientists talk about dark matter because they see its gravitational effects holding galaxies together, but they can't actually see the stuff itself. This model is doing the same thing for consciousness. It's using the rules and the language of physics to describe the invisible mechanics of our own experience.
So we have this big puzzle. On one side, the solid body with its classical, predictable rules. On the other, the gaseous spirit with all its quantum weirdness. In real-world physics, these two things just do not play nicely together. So how do they connect? Well, according to this framework, there's a missing piece of the puzzle, an intermediary layer. And that, my friends, is the mind.
And we're back to that dark matter idea. We can't see it, we can't touch it, but we know it's there because its gravity organizes entire galaxies. Well, the mind is your personal dark matter. You can't put a thought on a scale or measure a dream, but the gravitational pull of those things, it's precisely what dictates how your physical body moves through the world. It's the invisible architecture of your reality.
And this brings us right to the core analogy of the whole system. Body equals solid, spirit equals gas, and the mind? The mind is the liquid that connects them. Think about water. It's fluid, it flows, it takes the shape of whatever contains it. It's the perfect go-between, the ultimate bridge between the fixed and the formless. It's what allows the quantum and the classical to finally talk to each other.
You know, you actually experience this all the time. Just think about any big life choice you've had to make. For a while, both options feel kind of real, don't they? The version of you that takes the new job and the version that stays put, they both exist at the same time, right there in your mind. That's superposition.
It's pure potential, just floating around in that liquid space. But the moment you take action, you sign the contract, you buy the plane ticket, poof, you've just collapsed all those possibilities into one single solid reality. Okay, so the mind is the liquid bridge. Got it. But here's the big question. Are we just passively floating along for the ride, or are we actually at the wheel? This next part is all about the engine of this whole system, this idea of a conscious pump that actively turns potential into physical reality. This model basically takes that famous, weird idea from quantum physics that the simple act of looking at something changes its state and puts you directly in the driver's seat. So here's how it works. Step 1, the spirit exists as this massive field of infinite potential. Step 2, your mind, simply through observation and focus, collapses that field and picks just one of those potentials. And step 3, that chosen potential then hardens and manifests as your actual, physical, solid experience.
But here's the catch. For most of us, this whole process is running on autopilot. We get so hyper-focused on the 5% of reality we can see and touch, our job, our bank account, our problems, that we completely forget it's just the tiny tip of the iceberg. We get stuck living what the model calls a solid life, totally disconnected from the vast 95% of reality that is pure, untapped potential.
So this gives us two very different ways to operate. On the unconscious path, the mind works like a one-way valve. Potential just sort of automatically pours down, hardens into a fixed reality, and you're left feeling like a victim of circumstance, like life is just happening to you. But on the conscious path, the mind becomes a two-way pump. You can consciously take your solid limitations, evaporate them back into potential, and then condense whole new possibilities into being.
Okay, so if this is possible, why is it so hard? Why do so many of us feel so stuck? Well, the model has a very mechanical answer for that. The machinery gets clogged. And the blockage happens at what it calls the surface tension of the mind, that invisible, resilient film right at the boundary where the gas of the spirit is supposed to meet the liquid of the mind.
So what's clogging up the works? Imagine a layer of oil on top of clean water. It creates this film that prevents anything from getting through, right? Well, in this model, our psychological baggage acts just like that oil. We're talking about unresolved trauma, old beliefs we inherited from our families, deep survival fears, and all that programming we picked up as kids without even realizing it. They form this thick, gunky film on the surface of our mind, and they stop the whole pump from working properly.
And this completely reframes the whole purpose of doing psychological work, doesn't it? From this perspective, healing and self-awareness aren't just about feeling better or managing your symptoms. They become a mandatory mechanical process. You are literally degunking the machinery of reality creation, so the whole system can finally run smoothly, the way it was designed to.
Now, this framework doesn't just apply to our own inner worlds. It actually scales up to offer a really elegant answer to one of the biggest head-scratchers in all of physics, the measurement problem. That bizarre discovery that reality itself seems to behave differently when we're looking at it. So let's take this whole idea and zoom out from one person's reality to our shared one.
The answer this model gives is actually breathtakingly simple. The universe needs you. It requires an observer to function. The observer is the mandatory bridge. Think about it. Matter can't become solid unless a conscious mind first condenses it from potential. And the spirit has no way to experience itself unless a conscious observer is there to evaporate that solid experience back up into potential. It's a beautifully symmetrical, required partnership. Which brings us to one last, massive, provocative question. If your personal reality is being shaped by the state of your own subconscious, what happens when 8 billion of us are all doing it at the exact same time? Is it possible that our shared global reality, with all its conflict and all its beauty, is simply the chaotic, messy result of billions of individual realities overlapping and collapsing on top of each other? This framework suggests that to truly change the solid world around us, the work has to start by cleaning the surface tension, not just of our own minds, but of the global mind. That is definitely a lot to chew on.